Hi there, and welcome to Principal Shorts, the podcast for principals who only have 7.5 minutes for lunch and no time to eat it before 2 p.m. I'm Stan Baker, your host, and I'm a retired educator from Ontario who worked in restorative practices and actually continues to work in restorative practices with principals and teachers. In this podcast, we focus on a principal problem of practice and offer a few practical suggestions that can help make your day a little easier. Here's Paula, our AI voice, to tell you a little bit more about what we do and who we are.
Thanks, Stan. I'm Paula. Restorative Resolutions coaches principals and teachers as they navigate difficult conversations with parents, make things right, and keep the focus on student learning. The principal's problem of practice is how can a principal pause to resolve conflicts?
Our guest this episode is Nicole Wood, a principal from the Northwest Catholic District School Board, a school board that we've been working with for the past year. I talked with her shortly after the students were dismissed at the end of June. Nicole reflects on how restorative practice gave her a stronger sense of confidence in dealing with conflict, but just conversations in general. And so now, rather than avoiding conflict, she approaches it with curiosity, with a sense of calmness, and a relationship-first mindset.
When you think back to the work that we did on restorative practice, what kinds of an impact did that have for you in your second year now?
I think it's just building the confidence to have those difficult conversations, whether it was with staff, with the students, and even parents. I haven't had a whole lot of difficult conversations with the parents. We have a pretty good group of parents. I think this month was the first time I had to really have a hard conversation with parents, and it gave me that confidence and to sit down and talk, and it turned out okay, but then they came back and we had a really good conversation when they came back after they had settled, and I said, welcome to come in anytime you guys want to come in and talk when that conversation was done. And they came back in the next week and said, this is what we're going to do and we feel better. And so I felt really good about that, because when they had left, I was like, oh, because it was the end of the year. They said, that's it. We're pulling our student. We don't want them to go through the bullying and that kind of stuff that was happening. And then they came back Monday and they said, let's talk this over. And the student finished off the year. So that was a really positive outcome. And I felt really good after they had come back, because when they had left that Friday, I was like, oh, that was tough. And it turned out after everyone was able to go home and think about it for the weekend and come back Monday, and they were calmer, and it was a really good conversation afterwards.
Have you noticed any difference in terms of how you've been able to speak with students?
I do remember the one, he was really upset with me, and I felt myself getting really upset, and I raised my voice and then he raised his voice, and I said to them, I said, you know what, we need to take a moment. I said, I'm going to go for a walk and you're going to stay, and I'll come back in a few minutes. And I came back and he was calm and I was calm, and we got through what had happened and then figured out a solution. And then he said, I'm sorry I raised my voice. And I said, I'm sorry I raised my voice. And then it was good. And he cried a little bit after, because he said, I feel really bad. He said, I overreacted. And I said, you know what? I overreacted too. I said, I felt your energy and my energy went way up. And I said, I think it was good. I said, we had to walk away. And I gave him 10 minutes and came back. And I was calm too. I went for a walk. I just went up and down the hallway a couple times. And then I came back and he was sitting in the office, and I said to my secretary, I said, do you think he's calm? Because he was like screaming in here. He was mad. And she's, no, he's really quiet now, because we have a window in the office, right?
It's interesting. We talk about kids being unregulated, right? Mm-hmm. Their behaviors and so on. And what you just illustrated too is how important it is for us as the adult to make sure that we're regulated. And if we're not, to, just like you said, take a break, right?
Yeah. And it came out after he was dealing with a lot of stuff at home, with siblings. And then I was like, okay, this all makes sense now. And after we talked about it, and I told him anytime he needed to come talk to me, that my door was always open.
Now, have you noticed any of the staff dealing with each other, dealing with students any differently?
Yeah, the one comment, and actually it was made on the last day of school by the intermediate teacher. He said, we don't have very many conflicts, he said, but the one that we did have, he said, we dealt with so much better now than we would have at the beginning of the year. And he said, it's because we were able to sit and listen and talk. Yeah. And we did have because of all of the stuff that had stemmed from that one conflict between the intermediates, we ended up having a circle and we talked, and the whole class, we just didn't bring in, because it was we had a whole influx of students in February. And so our 5 to 8 classroom gained 4 students in February. And it really threw off the dynamics of that classroom, because we had such a good thing happening. And then all of a sudden there was 4 new students, 3 were siblings, and it just threw the whole dynamic of the classroom off, and people weren't getting along, and friends that had been friends for all year were arguing, and it was just a huge mess. And after that one conflict in the hallway and there was some pushing and shoving, the next day we just sat down. There was myself, the 2 classroom teachers, the EAs, and the whole class, and we just sat down and we did a circle. And it took a lot to get them to start to talk, but we did just a fun kind of start, and then we went into some of the issues that we had seen in the classroom, and they started talking. And then at the end, one of them said, that was really good, we should do that more. And
Awesome.
yeah, so we were like, okay, we know it works. And we just followed one out of the book, like the circles, we just followed it, and it was great. And the teacher at the end of the year said we dealt with that so much better than we would have at the beginning of the year.
Now, can you imagine that being in every classroom at the
Hmm.
start of the year?
Yes. Yeah.
Wouldn't
So
that
it
be
made a
amazing?
huge difference for the teachers to get the training as well as the EAs, because then the EAs, like, they were in there, they were sharing, and they were talking about stuff that they had dealt with when they were kids and all. It was really good. Yeah. And they listened. The kids, you could tell they were really listening.
This conversation highlights that behavior is often a symptom of something deeper. And by listening carefully, Nicole discovered in this particular situation that the student's anger was rooted in challenges at home rather than events at school, and it actually allowed for her to provide some meaningful support rather than punishment. So here's practice number 1. Know and check your own emotional signals and pause or take a short break right when you need it.
It's Paula again. Here's practice number 2. Take a short break or a pause the next time you feel your emotions rising. Go for a short walk, a bio break, or even go to the bathroom and wash your face with cold water. One of the episode's most powerful lessons is knowing when to step away. By taking time to regulate emotions before continuing a difficult conversation, Nicole models emotional intelligence and creates space for productive problem solving.
Want to find out a little bit more about the training that we've been doing with principals in another school board in Ontario? Send me an email to stan@restorative.ca, and don't forget to take that full 7.5 minutes for lunch, because you deserve it.